Yeah. I'm with the Patriots. We're just filming this.
What?
Huh?
What?
Let people know what's going on. Let them know there's a crisis here.
Alright.
That's all.
You've got 4 UX, right? Come in my unit.
Then you want to start filling it up. Julio's gonna start doing it. Yeah, one of them's a solo dog, the other ones are brothers and shit. Do we want to pull the husband that's not the husband?
Hey everybody, it's Jim. We got a group down here that crossed the river, and when they cross the river at this part and they step into the United States, they can claim asylum. So they were headed for the entry into the wall where it's open, but they were stopped before they got through the wall. So even though they're on the other side of the wall, they're actually in the United States. So, pretty large group of people here, guys.
Steve, you got more?
It's like this every night down here. But yeah, in case you guys, I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but I posted the link to the page, a couple links down, so those of you that are having trouble finding Guardian Patriots, or you can just follow me. It doesn't matter either way, actually. You'll get the same coverage, but it is a closed group, so you have to answer a couple questions because we had a lot of trolls in there. But bottom line, guys, it's the same story, you know. They come across the river doesn't have much water in it, and so they can sneak across, and then you know, once they're here, they're entitled to the asylum due process. And of course it ties up half the border patrol, because now they've got to, you know, take everybody to processing. It takes an average of 2 hours a person, and of course the processing center just continues to get fuller and fuller and fuller, and it doesn't matter, because you know, you can only put so many people in so many places during processing. So it's more people continuing to come in. Congress is still refusing to act. They keep talking about acting, but they're not doing anything. And everybody's got great ideas how we might solve this problem, okay? But the only thing that's going to solve it is actually changing the laws. There's not enough wall. There's a lot of open areas, if I showed you guys. So people continue to come in through the open areas. Closing the border is not going to fix the problem because these people aren't coming through the ports of entry. They're coming through areas that have no wall, areas that are basically unprotected. And what ends up happening is that as we're dealing with these asylum seekers that are tying up what's left of the Border Patrol, the cartel continues to move drugs and criminals through the open areas while the Border Patrol is tied up. They're making a lot of money off of this. Plus, they're making money off of the people that are coming here. They're getting $1,500 to $10,000 a head that comes through the border. So, you know, you look at a load like this, I mean, do the math. You know, there's probably $70,000 or more dollars just on this one group that came through that went to the cartel. And again, this is only a 4-mile sector of the border that I show you guys. And so when you talk about the numbers and you talk about, you know, that we have a 2,200-mile border that encompasses California, New Mexico, Arizona, and Texas, you can see how Mexico is profiting from this. In the meantime, we have corrupt government officials that are anti-border, that believe that that want to hide the fact that this is a crisis and it's nothing for you to be concerned about, and people at home shouldn't have to worry about what's happening because, hey, the border city has a low crime rate. And the fact of the matter is, most of these people, you know, they're not coming to the border city. They're coming to a neighborhood near you. They're going to get a bus ticket. They're going to get pocket cash. Eventually, they're going to get a work permit. They're going to get a court date that's 5 to 7 years out that they probably won't show up for. And at the end of the day, what's going to happen is they're going to get a tax number because they got to pay taxes after they're working. And then from there, what's going to happen is you're going to end up giving them a driver's license, and the Democrats obviously want to get them to vote. That's the end game here for them. They don't care about these people. If they did, I've said this 100 times, they would have the National Guard down here in a civilian role to help out with the influx of people. Only 10% of all the people coming across this border actually, if they were to go in front of a judge right now, would actually qualify for asylum. So that means that 90% of them wouldn't be here. They wouldn't make it. They would be deported. Okay, so 90% of them are gaming the system. 10% of them actually qualify. And you know what? I've said this also a million times. I'll be the first one to help anybody who's legitimately here that has credible fear and threat. I have no problem with that. I also have no problem with people who want to come through the right way, people that want to migrate here legally. I have absolutely no problem with that. But right now, we're destroying the Border Patrol, and it's tying everything up. Our national security is being exposed by areas of border that aren't protected. And in addition to that, we have fake family units coming in. For those that don't know what a fake family unit is, it's when a man and a woman show up to the border and they're together and they don't have a kid. So a lot of times they'll arrange a wedding for them. They pay for it. They get a marriage certificate. And then what happens is that they rent a kid from the cartel or they borrow one. And sometimes the cartel kidnaps kids. And then they sell them to them and they come in with a kid because they know that the chances of being detained or deported, as long as they have a child, is very minimal. Okay? So we have a huge child trafficking issue here, which is one of my biggest pet peeves as far as the Democrats are concerned, because they're not addressing it. They don't care. If they cared, they'd be doing something about it, but they're not. They're not even talking about it. So go ahead and continue to abuse the children while you sit and talk about that there's not a problem here, that there's nothing to see, that this isn't a crisis. And it's only when America gets mad enough and wakes up that this is going to stop. I mean, as it is, we're having trouble even just showing you these videos. We're being attacked by everybody you can possibly imagine. the government officials here in New Mexico and people like Veronica Escobar, they do not want these videos getting out. They are using all the pressure on things like the railroad, who's in their favor, to keep us from showing you areas that you know, we can continue to show you the truth of what's going on. It's becoming much more difficult to show you guys the truth. And we're going to keep fighting the war. We're going to keep getting these videos out so that you guys can share them and let people make up their own mind about what's going on here, what's real and what isn't real. The bottom line is that, you know, this is every day, it's every night. People are coming in. And again, it's not racism. It's not about not liking people of color. It has nothing to do with that. This has to do with the fact that we've got people coming from all 50 different countries. They're almost being encouraged to come here. Okay? There's a difference between fleeing and fearing for your life and actually needing to come here because, you know, people need help. I get it. Some of these people do need help, but a lot of them don't need help. And the mere fact that they would rent a child to come over here, that's a little disturbing to me. Okay, I'm not saying all the children have been rented, and I'm not saying I know anything particular about this individual group that's right here. I don't know. I can't judge. I'm not the one processing them. I'm just showing you the group that just came in. But I know that the numbers are high. I know they're there. And we're just exercising the rights that any citizen has. We need more people down on the border. If you are in a state where you're having a border problem, get down there, help out however you can. Because the bottom line is, until people wake up and actually see what's going on here, nothing's going to get done. And in the meantime, everybody's just, you know, Border Patrol can't do nothing right. Everybody's bashing the Border Patrol. And you know, and anybody who tries to help the Border Patrol in any way, whether it's observe and report or, you know, whatever, you're going to be labeled a vigilante, you're going to be labeled a terrorist, you're going to be labeled racist, and, you know, it's almost like the forces that be are more concerned that you don't see this stuff, that you don't see the processing vans pulling away with loads of people. They're more concerned that they actually protect their positions, that there's not an emergency here. And the fact of the matter, guys, is they're building more processing centers. They're doing everything they can do, but the problem is they're not getting any help, you know? And so until people actually believe that this is a crisis, until people actually wake up to the fact that Congress probably isn't going to fix this unless people get really upset and we actually get some action behind it, then we're going to be stuck in this situation, and it's going to affect everybody. It's going to affect you whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, whether you think you live so far north that none of this is going to affect you. I got a news flash for you. Right now, New Mexico is flying people to Colorado because there's no room for them, and there's cities down here that have declared city emergencies within the state. And of course, that means they need funding, but of course the governor doesn't want to recognize those emergencies because, again, she can't admit that there's an emergency because she's for open borders anyway, so she doesn't see an emergency. She thinks that you should just rip the wall down and let everybody in, and what's the problem with that? You know, walls are archaic, borders are archaic, and as you guys know, you know, the United States, we have sovereignty here. We have a nation that we're trying to protect. And you as individuals, you have an absolute right to protect your country and its borders, or at the very least, be told the truth about what's going on at the border. Okay? That's what you're not being told, and that's what when you share these videos and you get criticized and you get threatened, that is no different than the left when they make up all their fake news about everything else. And I'm proud of you guys that have been on here following us for a while, because you're the guys that are sharing these videos. You're the ones that are out here, you know, making it possible so that if we get the footage gets out. Now, unfortunately, one of our big sharers today, Atomic News, her YouTube channel was taken down because she's a conservative. Thank God she's got a backup channel. Anybody who's been following her, or if you want to support her, her new YouTube channel is Atomic News TV. Atomic News TV, that's her backup channel. But she had, like, I think 16,000 subscribers on there, and YouTube just yanked it, okay? That's the type of attacks that conservatives and people that are bringing you stuff like this that you're not going to see on the mainstream news. That's the attack that we're under, because they know you guys will share this stuff because you guys know the truth and you want to see as many people as we can get this stuff out to see this stuff. So, I mean, you guys are doing your job too. But at the end of the day, there is a crisis here. It is invasion. You know, like I say, the thing that makes this invasion work is that it's not a violent invasion. In other words, if they were coming through armed, I promise you, there would be a different attitude from the American people. The problem right now is that they're not armed and nobody's telling them no. Nobody's saying you can't come in. If that day ever comes when we actually do tell these people no, because we have so many of them waiting on the other side who've already paid for their trip, the hundreds of thousands of them that are waiting their turn to be coyoted into the border through an area like this, and we say no, you can't come in, I promise you they're not going to be the people that you see in these videos that are just sitting down all cooperatively and, you know, nothing to see here. You saw what happened in Mexico with the Nigerians when they were told no, and then they locked them up in prison, then they broke away from prison, and then they were throwing rocks at people. And, you know, a lot of people have argued, well, no big deal, they can throw rocks, that's not violent. I promise you, a rock can be as deadly as a rifle. Okay, people hit you in the head with a rock, okay, you got a problem. But the point is this, guys, the children are being used and abused. A lot of these people are faking claim asylum claims, and they're using up the resources in the communities. And what I mean when I say using up the resources, I mean churches that feed homeless veterans and some of the elderly people that are on fixed income that usually go down to their local church, you know, maybe to have lunch or to have dinner or whatever. The churches and stuff are running out of food because they're feeding the illegal immigrants. And so what's happening is that a lot of the local people aren't coming anymore. They're moving into other areas. They're having to find new locations, and you know, we're taking out of city budgets. Cities that are along the border city are being expected to finance and pay for all this stuff. So they're passing emergency legislation at the last minute. Some states are now going to where they're offering immediate welfare. And now keep in mind, guys, these are people that have 5 to 7 year coupons before they're to show up in court, when we know that only 10% of them, you know, are going to qualify for asylum. If we had more judges down here, and we could have asylum hearings quicker and faster, as well as for all the people that are waiting in line for their turn to come in legally, we would be in a much better situation. But until we change the laws and we actually look at this as a problem and admit that it's a problem, and admit that, you know, we have human trafficking, sex trafficking, and child trafficking, and then just people outright abusing our system, we're never going to fix this. The country's going to continue to be invaded. This is not slowing down, guys. This is speeding up. The numbers are getting bigger. The people are coming in faster. And so, you know, it's one of those things that everybody's just, you know, you guys are doing what you can do. Blow up your representatives. Go to those town hall meetings, organize, work together, share the videos, do what you got to do, because this is not stopping. This is not stopping. The rhetoric isn't stopping it. The threats of, well, we might change this law or that law, that's not stopping it. I would be surprised, I would be very surprised if anything major happened before 2020. So, you know, it's Republicans in some cases. Governor Abbott over there, he could have led the way with Texas. He could have made a very big impression by, you know, declaring the national emergency and sending a message to the rest of the United States. He hasn't done that yet. I'm very disappointed. There's a lot he could do to help lead the way with this. We know that the New Mexico governor, she ain't going to do nothing. She is completely open about her stance on the border. She, you know, this is our border, guys. This is the border of the United States of America. It doesn't belong to an individual politician. And nor does your rights. In other words, if you have constitutional rights, I know a lot of people don't respect constitutional rights. I know that a lot of people don't enforce them anymore because enough Americans aren't mad. People figure money and power gets you further than constitutional rights. But the fact is, we've got to fight for our rights, guys. When we see other people's rights being taken advantage of, if you don't do anything about it as a person, if you don't raise hell at that courthouse, if you don't call in and say, what are you guys doing, then they're just going to continue to abuse people's rights. So the freedom of speech, the freedom of carrying a gun where you're allowed to carry a gun, the right to protect your border, the right to do what I'm doing, which is filming in public. Okay, when a railroad company says they own a part of track that they don't own, then we have to call them out. We got to call out the officials that are supporting that. Okay, this is a cover-up, guys. This is a huge cover-up. And I promise you that if we don't get mad enough as a country about this, if we don't hold the politicians that are responsible for this invasion responsible, we're going to be in trouble as a country. And that's a fact. And like I said, we've got to act now. So share these videos, guys. I'm glad, you know, I was able to show you guys something tonight. I know it's a little late. Probably most of you guys are in bed. You watch this in the morning. That was a kind of a different view. I was showing you the view through the wall. But at least you guys can see that one of the things a wall does do is when a large group of people come up, they can't just wander out into the street or go up into the mountains, and they're not going to get hurt wandering around at night. So, you know, I mean, I wish it was better news. I wish I was here to tell you that we had more wall built, or that, you know, we had the National Guard coming down here, or that something was going to happen that was going to stop this and stop me from having to show you these videos every night. But that's not what's happening. It's getting worse. And like I said,